Hi, my name is Sabrina DuQuesnay, and you're listening to the Miseducation podcast. If you've been along for the ride a bit, you probably first heard my voice on this podcast 4 years ago when I was still in high school. Now, I'm proud to say that I've graduated from college and am back at the Bell working full-time. This organization had such an impact on my life, so to be back in this capacity is a real full circle moment. And I'm stoked to be working with our amazing student reporters who you'll be hearing from very soon. Yeah, that's wild to say, I used to be one of them. Today, I'm pumped to announce that we're launching a new weekly show about the New York City school system. It's called PS Weekly, and you can hear it every Monday right here in the Miseducation podcast feed. So, no more waiting months and months between seasons. We're coming to your headphones once a week from now on. Our student reporters will bring you riveting interviews, commentary, and analysis, plus a few other fun surprises throughout the school year. We hope the stories you hear inspire you to see age-old issues in a new way, consider a different perspective, and maybe even compel you to take action to make your voice heard. Speaking of, if you have a story to tell or an idea to share, never hesitate to send us a message at podcast@bellvoices.org. That's podcast@bellvoices.org. In our first episode, we thought we'd start at the top of the New York City DOE organizational chart with Schools Chancellor David C. Banks. New York City Mayor Eric Adams appointed Chancellor Banks to lead the school system in January.
We got a full understanding of the scope of turning around one of the nation's largest school systems and what it represents. But I want you to know something today. That David Banks is built for this. Right. David Banks is ready for this moment.
He's a longtime educator, former principal, and founder of a network of all-boys public schools called the Eagle Academy. Banks sat down with some of our reporters, along with high school journalists from across the city, on Tuesday, November 1st at Tweed Courthouse, the DOE headquarters. The conversation ranges from student press freedoms to school funding to his favorite sports team. We've lightly edited the interview for length and clarity. Enjoy.
No question, just introduction. Yeah, we're going on real fast. Tell me your name and your school.
Ramata Diop from PACE.
Janae Knight from East Bronx Academy.
I'm Emily O'Fing from John Dewey High School.
I'm Egypt Terry. I'm from Urban Assembly for Media Studies.
My name is Violetta Atocha. I'm from the Clinton School.
My name is Fred Love Desarmes, and I go to the Urban Assembly School for Law and Justice.
My name is Edward Moy, and I'm from the Brooklyn Latin School.
My name is Zana Halili, and I go to Baruch College Campus High School.
Wesley Almanzar from Bronx School for Law, Government, and Justice.
That's my original school,
Yeah. Your daughter taught me, actually.
Yeah, I was the first. Did my daughter teach you?
Yeah, taught me once in 8th grade, yeah.
Okay. Tell me you have that deep voice, though, man.
And my name is Alexandra Williams, and I go to Urban Assembly for Media Studies.
And I'm David Banks. I used to go to Hillcrest High School many years ago. I was a writer for our magazine, and I wrote for the yearbook also, Jabberwocky. And so I love to write. In fact, one little tidbit, and then I'm gonna stop. I actually write every day at the end of my day about my experience for the day. And so I started here on January 2nd as my very first day. And I have not missed one day since I started. So anyway, just a little bit about me, and I'm really anxious to hear you and hear from you and hear some of the questions. You all look just wonderful and amazing, and it's the highlight of my day. I appreciate you. So.
All right, hopefully you keep up that excitement you had. We're going to ask you some fun rapid fire questions that you have to answer in at least one word or phrase. Are you ready for this?
I hope so. I don't know. What am I getting in? What do y'all set me up here for?
All right, come on. What's your favorite sports team?
Oh, clearly the New York Knicks. Wait a minute, hold on now. I've been suffering for many, many years. I grew up, people ask me, why are you a Knicks fan? They lose all the time, right? The Knicks, I grew up in, when I was a little kid, the Knicks won the NBA championship twice in 3 years. Their stars were Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Earl of Pearl Monroe, Dave DeBusschere. You guys have no idea what New York was like. In fact, in 1970, and just tell this last thing before you ask the next question. In 1970, I was 8 years old. The Knicks won the NBA championship, the Mets won the World Series, and the New York Jets won the Super Bowl. Can you imagine in New York City, all like 3 teams who all won the championship in the same year? No, you can't even imagine. I know you can't. But it was wonderful. It was the best. And from that time, I was locked in. So I'm a Jets fan, I'm a Mets fan, and I'm a Knicks fan.
How would you describe what it's like to be a chancellor in one word?
That's a great question. Fulfilling. Fulfilling.
What's your favorite restaurant?
It's another good question. I don't think I have a favorite, but I would probably say it's a place called Lex. It's on Lexington Avenue and 89th, between 89th and 90th. And I say it's my favorite, not because the food is just like the best ever. Food is okay. It's the camaraderie. It's somebody my family has known for a long time. So it's like, when in doubt, we're ever gonna get together, my brothers, friends, whatever, let's go to, in fact, we don't call it Lex. The name of the restaurant is called Lex. We call it Vic's because Vic is the guy who owns it. And so he's like family almost to us. He's this older Italian guy. We've known him forever. When you come in, you don't even have to order. He already knows what you want to have. You ever go to a place like that? And it's like, he sets it all up. It's just like being almost like in your grandma's living room or your grandma's kitchen, like a dining room. That's what Vic's is like.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Banks. I'm Egypt. So in an interview I realized with youth communications, you mentioned the significance of not only academic and statistic-based readiness, but also like work opportunities for students to build up career readiness and just have that experience in different career paths. So how do you plan on implementing this into schools citywide?
We rolled out something called Modern Youth Apprenticeships, and a couple other programs that we've rolled out as well. But the Modern Youth Apprenticeship is actually paid, like internships, where students, 11th to 12th grade, will have an opportunity to actually get paid to work somewhere in industry. So if you're interested in being a journalist, and we set you up to work, let's say at New York One, and you actually, during 11th to 12th grade, would be able to have your schedule set up in such a way that you could spend some portion of your time in like a real place that's doing the kind of work that you think you're interested in. So you get a chance to see what it really looks like working in a newsroom, working for an editor at a newspaper, and just to be in the environment. It's affirming. It'll help you to understand, is this what I thought it was? Is this what I think I really want to do? And like, yes, I love this. I would do this right now. And we wanted you to be able to get paid at the same time. Because even for you guys as students, right, it's important to be able to get a few dollars in your pocket as well. So that's very helpful. We're trying to create as many of those opportunities as we can. We just created a partnership with Northwell Health, which is the largest health provider in the state. They're creating hundreds of internship and apprenticeship opportunities for young people. We just set up something with Bloomberg and JP Morgan Chase. But the sky is the limit. So I don't think we've set up anything with anybody in the media. Well, Bloomberg does media as well, but pure like media companies to provide opportunities for people who want to be future journalists. So that's the kind of thing we need. We're just getting started. So this thing is going to look very different over the years as we just continue to expand on it. But I think the most important thing, what's your name again? Egypt. Egypt is to tell you that the reason we're doing it is because I'm a firm believer that young people like you need as many practical opportunities to do stuff that really matters, to help you really figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Just going to school every day without a deeper context about where you're ultimately going is, it works for some kids, but for a lot of kids, they start to disconnect from the school experience. You know, they do the work. In fact, that's what a lot of times I'll go to school and I ask, kids like, what are you engaged in right now? And they're like, I'm doing my work. Doing my work is, I don't know, this is just, the teacher gave us an assignment and I got to do it. I want you to have more purpose, more relevance. I went to Rikers Island and saw these kids who were locked up in jail, and some young men, and I asked them about their story. How did they wind up in jail? And each one of them wound up becoming disconnected from school. They didn't like school. They thought it was irrelevant. They were like, just going to school every day was terrible. It was whack. It was like I didn't understand the purpose. And yet, while they were in jail, they were working on like HVAC, electrical, plumbing, stuff like that, learning like a trade. And one young man put his hand up and said, "Mister, if I was doing this in high school, I would have went to school every day." So whether it's that or not, it was more, the point that I took from him was, if you gave me something really relevant that I could see like a future for myself, instead of just, we go to school, just to go to school. Sit down for 45 minutes, do this lesson. I don't know what this lesson means. I get up, we get 3-minute bell, walk to the halls, go to the next class, sit down 45 minutes. Like we just do that every day, all day. Now some schools do school really well. School is exciting, you're moving around, you're working in groups, you're solving problems. My job is to help more schools to become more impactful like that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Fredla Bizons, and I go to the Urban Assembly School for Law and Justice. Lots of schools don't have the funding nor the staff to give their students a place to build institutional belonging or pride. This is basically just what you were talking about a couple seconds ago. Therefore, kids are left to their own devices. This is where the DOE can come in with funding and or programs that open doors for kids to find their passions like journalism, coding, robotics, STEP, anything. How does the DOE plan to make sure minorities in underprivileged schools get the right extracurricular activities to keep them out of negative situations?
Yeah. Schools are complex places, right? And me as the chancellor, I don't always sit from this place here like I have the answer for every single school. It's just, the system is just so broad. So when you heard me talk earlier about providing these internships and apprenticeship opportunities, that's a way in which I'm trying to provide more opportunities for young people such as yourself. But the budgets that we do get, for the most part, goes to the schools. And we leave those decisions really in the hands of the school principals to make the decision around how much they're gonna put for after-school programs. Principals, we never have enough money. So just be clear. Because no matter what amount we give, it never covers everything. I want every school to have a library and a full-time librarian. I want every school to have at least one art teacher and a music program and after-school programs. So I'm fighting as hard as I can to ensure that the schools get the supports that they need. But I don't actually create my own budget. The budget that I get and the money that I get actually comes from the mayor and the city council. They negotiate a budget and they say to the police department, this is how much money you get. They say to the parks department, this is how much you get to keep the parks clean and do everything else. This is how much you get at the Department of Education for the New York City Public Schools. And I take those dollars and I send a significant amount of those directly to the schools themselves. And then I have to leave that to the schools to make those decisions around what they can or cannot do. Now, that being said, it's still tough in terms of how some of these dollars actually can be allocated. But go ahead, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to ask, how do you make sure that these schools are actually taking the money to put it towards the right place, like after-school activities and extracurricular activities?
That's where a lot of you, all as students as well, should actually be participating in that process. So it's not, again, just me directing the school. Every school is supposed to have a school leadership team. And a school leadership team is supposed to be made of parents, particularly at the high school level, students. Are any of you serving right now currently in your school leadership team? You are, so here's a homework assignment for every one of you in the room right now. When you get back to your school, I want you to make sure you see your principal and I want you to ask them, can you tell me about the school leadership team for our school? Because there are supposed to be students in your school who actually sit on the school leadership team. You should write a story about the school leadership team and the process that they engage in. School leadership team process, you all are high school students. School leadership team is supposed to be made up of the administration from the school, parents, teachers, and students at the high school level. They're supposed to be student representatives on the leadership team. And you know what their job is to do? Is to raise the question that you just raised. Let's look at the budget. They look at the budget for the school, and they help to make the decisions for the school. It's not supposed to be just one person, the principal, who says, this is what we're doing. No. It's supposed to be a team where everybody has a chance to have their voices heard. So if you're not on a leadership team, there's supposed to be students who are on that leadership team, and they are supposed to be representing all the other students, and then asking the questions that you just asked. If we want to have funding for after-school programs that should be running at least Monday through Thursday after school, or we want to have a Saturday program for music or whatever, and then as part of that team, they're at the table just like you're at the table here, helping to actually make that decision. It's difficult for the chancellor for systems so large to say everybody has to do this. Because at some schools, they say to me, we're not looking for after-school programs. We're investing our money in something else. So they don't want me to act like I know it all, and I'm going to tell every single school across the whole city, you're going to do this. So I don't take that position. I say, I'm going to give you the funding, but you're supposed to have a team working to answer those questions at your school level.
Oh, hi, Chancellor Banks. So I'm Emily Ofeng, a student journalist from John Dewey High School, which is a Title I school in School District 21. Currently, underprivileged students in Title I schools are vulnerable to the lack of cultural and entertainment opportunities that allow them to develop a more in-depth understanding of how diverse New York City is. My school is trying to utilize the resources out there, such as Broadway Bridges, to give student access to Broadway shows at affordable costs. Can you talk about any plans that you have about expanding these sort of programs to more students?
So we have an Office of the Arts here, right? And one of the things that I've been talking more and more about as well, again, I try to encourage our schools, encourage our school leaders, encourage our superintendents to go further with some of these ideas, which is to understand that if we really want to impact student learning, you have to get outside of the four walls of the school. How many of you have never been inside of Central Park? Just by show of hands, don't worry about it if you've never been to Central Park, right? She's not the only one that's never been to Central Park. Who else has never been to Central Park? All right, let me ask another question. How many of you, by show of hands, have never been to the Bronx Zoo? How many of you have never been to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens? It's fine to raise your hand. It's fine that you can just put your, right? How many of you have been to the Hayden Planetarium? Most of the students have never been to the Hayden Planetarium, right? Run by a guy named Dr. Neil Tyson deGrasse. He's an astrophysicist, African-American man, amazing, written lots of books. He's all over social media, and he's got all kind of programs and everything else. If you're interested in anything around the galaxy and the stars, he's like the greatest storyteller in the world. Another person who would absolutely meet with this group, if you all requested that, okay, at the Hayden Planetarium. He's amazing. My point in saying all this is to say this. You want to encourage as many visits to places outside of school. It's what helps your brain to grow and to develop, to meet new people, see people across the city from different backgrounds, go into different cultural institutions. You learn so much. And you all would learn so much because you all have critical thinking brains anyway. I would encourage you, every time you walk into a room, anywhere you go, take real note of what's going on around you. How many of you noticed that piece of artwork above the fireplace? Right? I'm just saying, it's a rhetorical thing I'm saying. It's a lot of times you'll come in, there are things that are happening all around you, you don't really pay attention to it. You're just very focused on, like, our meeting is here, we come, we sit down. Somebody would say, oh, is there a fireplace? That's a fireplace over there? Right? Just pay attention. Observe all that's going on around you. Anytime you have an opportunity to travel, to go someplace else, take full advantage of it. It's hard to be a global citizen of the world with a neighborhood mentality. You got to see yourself beyond the neighborhoods that you live in. And the best place in the world to do it is in New York City. You can just hop on a train and it'll take you, you could see countless numbers of different cultures just through a train ride. You get off a train and go into Williamsburg and see the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. You get back on the train and you go and you be with an Islamic community. To go to Chinatown, you can go to Central Harlem It's amazing. That's why this is the most amazing city in the whole planet. There's no place quite like this. New York City should be your classroom. There's so much for you to learn, so many different foods for you to try, so many different people to meet. I mean, look at the ethnic diversity just in this room alone, right around this table. Take full advantage of it and just see New York. Okay? That's what I would encourage you. So we're encouraging the schools to do more of it. And sometimes it'll take them a little while before they fully appreciate everything I'm saying. And I try not to say, everybody must do this. That's not the way to lead. A real leader inspires people, encourages people, doesn't mandate and tell you everybody has to do that. Then people are just following you out of fear. That's not a real leader. That's not a good leader to me. Certainly not the kind of leader that I am.
We'll be back in just a second with more from the Chancellor, including what he considers the proudest moment of his life. So, listeners, here's the deal. We need your help. Our student reporters have been using the same audio recorders for years now, and it's really time to upgrade. The Tascam DRO7s just don't cut it anymore, especially outdoors. But hey, don't take my word for it. Listen for yourself. We're launching a crowdfunding campaign, in part so we can buy our students a new set of reliable recording devices, like this one. Notice how crisp and clear I sound? We want to make sure all of our students get to use top-notch equipment like this. Go to bellvoices.org/donate. That's bellvoices.org/donate. Every little bit helps. Thanks for your support. All right, back to Banks.
Who's got another question?
That would be me, yeah. So good afternoon, Chancellor Banks, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. My name is Jana, and I'm one of the editors-in-chief at Townsend High School. So NPR reported on Friday that earlier this year, a high school newspaper in Nebraska was shut down after students published a series of articles regarding LGBTQ+ issues. So I have two parts to this question. Yep. The first part, with growing concerns around the country of censorship of LGBTQ books and more in school libraries, and now censorship of student newspapers containing content like this, do you and New York City schools stand with student journalists here and everywhere who want to explore these topics other like it? And also, right now, administrators in New York City schools have a lot of power to control the content in student newspapers. So how will you as Chancellor protect student journalists from this type of censorship?
So first of all, I stand for freedom of expression for student journalists here and all across the country. I think your voice is critically important and should be shown the same level of respect as anybody else. You can't say in one sense that our schools are meant to prepare young people for the 21st century and to make sure that you are ready to be active and engaged citizens, and then not give you the full backing of allowing you to practice that while you're in our schools. Okay? So I stand with you in that regard. Now you have to remember, each one of these issues has to be taken on a case-by-case basis, right? And you have to look at the facts of each particular case. But as a general notion, I absolutely stand with students on that. Across the country, and particularly a lot of areas in the South, but not just limited to the South, there's been a lot of pushback. There's been a lot of bans on books, a ban on curricula, and other bans, which almost on their face to me are just deeply problematic. School is the place where you work it out. School is the place that should be a sharing of ideas. If everything is all just about one particular frame of mind, that's indoctrination. That's not education. Education should always be about hearing varying points of views, whether you agree with it or you disagree with it. So I fully support that. And I'm going to do everything I can from this standpoint. I'd love to meet with this group on a regular basis and hear like some of the issues that you really are dealing with. Would be very helpful for me also. You know, when you're the chancellor, you know, any of you have any ideas? I mean, you did your research. How many schools we have? Hazard a guess, somebody. 375 schools in New York City? How many you say?
I think it's around 7,500.
Y'all went from one extreme to the other. She said 375, she says over 7,000. It's somewhere in the middle, let me say that.
Maybe 2,000, around 2,000.
A little closer, yeah. It's a little over 1,800 schools. 1,800, I think 65 actual schools. So when you sit in a seat like this, the system is so massive. It's the whole world lives in New York City. Anyway, I'm just saying all that to say this. It's a wide range and lots of opinions and lots of perspectives. And I think that's what makes New York City really exciting.
Hi, Chancellor. My name is Vienna Du, and I go to Susan Wagner High School on Staten Island.
How did you get here today? You took the ferry over?
No, I took the express bus.
Oh, you did?
So I'm lucky that at my school we have a newspaper and a journalism elective, but many schools across New York City, especially predominantly black and brown schools, don't. So I was wondering how you intend, or the DOE intends to increase access of these programs to all students.
It's a great point. It's a great question. And I'd like to be really supportive. To be honest with you, it hasn't been something that has been like top of mind for me as I walked in here. I came here in January, and there have been so many issues and challenges that I have to deal with like on a daily basis. But as the dust settles and I can really start to focus on more of the things that I really want to be focused on, anything that lifts student voice is important to me. When I was in high school, I was the vice president of my senior class. To this day, it was the greatest accomplishment that I've ever had. To be elected by like your peers. I remember the day, Mr. Gecko, he was the coordinator of student activities, the COSA, and I saw him in the hallway. And we had the election like the day before, and I knew the results were supposed to come out. And he said hi to me in the hallway, but didn't say anything. I thought maybe the results weren't going to be ready for another day or two. And then next thing I know, he was up on WHHS, our school radio station. And they said, we have the results of the election. And I was like, oh no, I must have lost. That's why Mr. Gecko didn't say anything to me. And they said, for student body, for the senior secretary, Sherelle Staley, right? For senior treasurer, right? Jeffrey Osborne. For vice president, which is what I ran for. And he must have waited for like 10 minutes before he said anything. It sure felt that way. David Banks. I was like the same age as many of you. And I was in my homeroom that day, and I sat in the back of the homeroom in my regular seat. And everybody knew this was the election. And the whole group turned and looked at me the same way you all are looking at me right now. Right before they announced it. He said, for vice president. And the whole class was looking. David Banks. I jumped 10 feet out of the seat. I ran out into the hallway, and they said, for President Wayne Johnson. And Wayne and I saw each other in the hallway. We were hugging. It was the happiest day of my life. Sorry. I still get excited. I never forgot that day because it was something about being affirmed by your peers that said, we want you to represent us and be a leader for us, was just phenomenal for me personally. So trust me when I tell you, I connect with all of this that you're talking about here. Now, what was the question again?
How does the DOE intend to increase journalism programs to all?
Yes, so I want to be supportive. I do not have a plan for it. But Nathaniel, maybe this is something we can talk more about, how we can be supportive. We can be connecting you all to different organizations as well. How many of you have ever met with professional journalists? See, that's the thing that we could do. We could host student journalists, like a group like this and more. Like we could literally put you in a room and then break you up into groups with like folks from NBC, CBS, New York One, from the Daily News, the New York Times. We could create a whole affair, like for a day or half a day or something, where we have these people show up. They would love to do that. And just to give you bits of expertise and from, advice from their own expertise. That's a thing that we can do from here to be supportive. That's just one idea. There are many other ideas that we could put together as well.
Thank you again for taking the time to meet with us. I know my question is going to be a little more specific and probably going to elicit a less passionate answer than the last one.
That's okay. I love it.
But so obviously since the summer, the DOE has been talking about the new grading system, the new digital systems that are going to replace Schedula and Pupil Path, the old systems that were banned last year. And a lot of students at my high school have been wondering about when these new systems are going to officially be in place, when they're going to be able to see their grades in a more organized manner, when their parents are going to be able to keep track of their education. And so I'm wondering, what are the plans to move this process along, make sure it's a smooth transition into the new system, and make sure that the new systems are accessible and effective?
Great question. Coming soon. I wish I had a better answer for you than I have right now. We went from an old system into a new system because there was some other major challenges. This is as I kind of came in as the chancellor and was like, oh, boy. This is one of the things when you sit in this as the position, you deal with lots of big problems. So when you shift from one major system to another one, it's always fraught with issues and challenge. So it's going to take a little bit of time before we're fully comfortable as we're rolling into a new system. But I would say, I want to get back with a clearer answer. What's your name? Penelope. For Penelope on that. So let's be sure to promise Penelope that we will get back to her with some more clarity as she's working on her responses here as well. Let me just say this because I do have to get ready to leave. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with all of you. I would like to meet with you more regularly. If you're up for it, I'm up for it. And just being in conversation with all of you, it lifts my spirits, it gives me hope. Because what I deal with most of my day is problems. Literally, from one meeting to the next. It's everything that's wrong. And that can kind of beat your spirit down when all you hear is, this is broke, Chancellor, what are you going to do to fix it? This is broke, what are you going to do to fix it? But when I'm around young people like you, it lifts me. And I want to do everything I can just to try to be as supportive as I possibly can. Can we take a picture before I run? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What do we do it right here? Yeah. Come on, everybody. Just real quick.
After the chancellor left, a few of our student reporters reflected on what they heard.
My phone recorder also sucks, so we'll see how this goes, but what did you guys think?
He talked a lot about things that weren't necessarily relevant. I think that he's a very charismatic speaker, and I feel like it was kind of enjoyable to hear him talk about these things, but at the same time, my question didn't get answered because I wasn't able to ask it because he spent so much time talking about other things, and so that was kind of frustrating, but I think it was an interesting experience to have generally, I think.
He had some notable quotes in there that I had to write down in my notebook because they were so inspirational. I am waiting to hear his follow-up on implementing more arts into schools. So, and a follow-up on the grading, because that's an issue that I have as well. So, yeah.
I feel like he was very personable, very interesting speaker. I just feel like a lot of it was also what he was saying. Like someone asked, what do you want to do to expand journalism programs for students? And he was like, well, I think that New York Times journalists would love to come here. They would want to do that. But then didn't actually, it was just he was just kind of almost like he was thinking of ideas on the spot.
How did you feel about the Chancellor's favorite team being the Knicks? What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely questionable, but, everybody got their own opinions, that's for sure. I get it for back then, but for now, it shows his loyalty, though. And that's really what matters the most, loyalty to your favorite teams. A lot of days we got a lot of bandwagoners, so glad to see he's not one of them.
So that's a wrap for episode 1 of PS Weekly. We'll be back next Monday and many more Mondays to come. If you like what we're doing here, please give us a rating and review on your podcast app. We love reading those. Plus, it helps new listeners discover the show. Our work is made possible in part by the Summerfield Foundation, the Pinkerton Foundation, and FJC. Music in this episode came from Lenz Lewis and Blue Dot Sessions. My longtime podcast partner Taylor McGraw is our producer. Mira Gordon is our stellar associate producer. Asha Khan is our communications queen. And our student reporters, Wesley Almanzar, Fredlove Desomes, Zana Halili, Vienna Du, and Edwin Mui were a part of the team that conducted this interview. And special thanks to our man, Abi Levine, for the field recording. I'm your host, Sabrina DuQuesnay. Thanks for tuning in. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to go out and vote tomorrow. Hope to see you next week.